Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding that. It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Listen, I live in New Jersey. I've lived here my entire life. I am 28 years old. We don't even acknowledge the New Jersey Nets here, the Brooklyn Nets here. When I say we don't even acknowledge, like I know one person my entire life. I still haven't met beyond one person. Hope you're doing well, Joey Laz, who is a Nets fan. Oh, you know what? Two. Another old friend. Hope you're doing well, Andre. I know two Nets fans who probably aren't even Nets fans anymore. We don't care. I go to school because I'm a 28-year-old reject who still hasn't gotten his life together. And when I'm on campus, it's Knicks jerseys. It's Knicks jerseys. Yes, I'm like on the edge of Jersey, so we're very close to New York, but like, I don't even think in Brooklyn they mean anything to that city, borough. They mean zero. The Nets mean zero to Brooklyn. The Nets mean zero to Jersey. Like, we don't even want them back. Like, they should send them to Buffalo. Because I don't think New York really considers that New York. It's basically Canada up there. Send them there. Send them to Buffalo. Make them the new Seattle team. I don't know. But we don't want... We're Knicks fans over here. And this feels amazing. Like, remember the years of when they first went from Jersey to Brooklyn? They started getting more popular. They started playing good ball. Joe Johnson was the thing. And then it came around like the KD super team where Richard Jefferson and like Spencer Dinwiddie would yap off. Right? They would just nonstop attempt to troll the Knicks and their fans and shit talk. It was nonstop. And my gosh, does it feel good to have the tables turned now. Now it's just a complete 180. It feels good. I mean, you watched the game last night. The Knicks and Nets, they played at MSG Brooklyn. That's where they weren't at Barclays. I mean, it was so bad that they had to pump up the defense chants on the PA speaker to try and drown out the Knicks fans. It was so bad, Ian Eagle had to say something, as did Stan, when Mikal Bridges was at the free throw line and they were booing him or they were cheering when he missed. Then you had the Mikal Bridges interview after the game. If I haven't seen a depressed human being who doesn't want to be in a certain city, I mean, I don't know what that is. That is it right there. And then Josh Hart being a clown as usual. Awesome. On Twitter. Man, that was like that play. I keep going back to that play. The Brunson to Randle transition dunk. The crowd after, it's MSG Brooklyn. It's MSG Brooklyn. Jalen Brunson was getting MVP chance in the second fucking quarter. 90% of that building was absolutely Knicks fans. I didn't even know they had like their own version of a Celebrity Row, but it was so sad. It was so sad. Tyra Banks, what was that? Like early 2000s? Like fucking what's a few what are these furries? These teddy bear shits? I don't know what a furry is. Apparently it's a thing. What the hell was that? The biggest celebrities in Celebrity Row last night at Barclays, Tracy Morgan and Spike Lee decked out in Knicks gear. I mean, come on. What do they got over there? Who do they have? That old man? What the fuck's his name? Mr. Jiggles? I don't know his fucking name. The free throw dude? Who do they have? Evan Roberts? Poor bastard. Tiki left early. I mean, it is MSG Brooklyn. I'll say that 3 times now. And it felt amazing to do that. The atmosphere, to do that at home in front of all these Knicks fans. Whew, it felt. And obviously the icing on the cake, they did this all on national television. Speaking of, this will segue into our next topic here. To do it on TNT in particular felt amazing. Just amazing. Considering that we had another little thing last night. Listen, like whether the Knicks suck, whether they're good, it's going to be the same conversation with these people. It's always going to be what can the Knicks do to get better. And I know I'm biting the bait. I do every time, but fuck it. That's what they do. They move the goalposts every time because they never want to talk positive when it comes to the Knicks. They treat the Knicks as if they're in this title or bust window. That's certainly the goal eventually, but like what I'm saying is they act like this is the final version of this team. They act as if the Knicks are done adding. Leon Rose came here for one reason. Leon Rose is an agent with connections. That's why he's here, to get that superstar in here. The Knicks have been, since he's come here, stockpiling on assets, draft capital, young players, tradable salaries, and they've got 2 all-stars here at the moment. So this is not the final version of this team. So when you hear Shaq say the shit he says, it's insane. It just makes you laugh. Talking about Randle, they're talking about the Knicks' success, and he's like, oh, it doesn't mean nothing. Like, how about the post game? How embarrassing was that? Post game comes, the Knicks get their win. You got Walmart Ernie Johnson about to lead us into talking about the Knicks and break down the game like you're supposed to do. And like 10 seconds into it, you got Shaq kind of giving him a nudge. Well, hey, tell them about the breaking news. Are you going to tell them about the breaking news? Which this news had already broke hours prior. Everybody knew the Bucks had fired Griffin and were bringing in Doc. But of course, Shaq wants to break it up and stop talking positive about the Knicks. And then you got obviously the what's been going viral. Candace Parker in the pregame. Like every time the Knicks get a national TV game or every time they're a topic on national TV, you always get one cringe slip up where it's like very obvious that these reporters aren't doing their homework. Like the Paolo Banchero comments. I remember a few years ago, it was ESPN. The dude's name, I forget. Williams. I don't think he's with ESPN anymore. Jay Williams. Talking about the Knicks, and they were like, oh, yeah, Austin Rivers has done a good job. And I remember at the time, Austin Rivers hadn't been with a team. He was with the G League. And I'm just like, oh, this is so bad. Do your homework. So it's constant. It was the Paolo Banchero comments last time on TNT. But obviously, Candace Parker, she was talking about the Becky Hammon 1A comments, of course. And while talking about it, she was saying how Brunson didn't have a great second round of the playoffs last year versus Miami. So that was the tweet that had everyone going nuts, as they should have. Yeah, I mean, like, do your homework. at least pretend you know what you're talking about. At least have your team prepare you just a little bit. Like, how are you not prepared? How are you? This is your job. You're a professional. You're on such a good show inside the NBA, and you're not prepared for like simple things that even a casual NBA fan would know. These guys don't know, man. Like, I saw a tweet that just put it perfectly. Like, the Knicks are the only team in the league that are analyzed based on what they are not. You know, they talk about Orlando. Oh, this young talent, Paolo Banchero, watch out. They talk about Indiana. Oh, Halliburton, this. Look at this offense. It's so modern. You know, you don't hear Chuck Barkley criticizing their horrendous defense when the last time they were on TNT, he criticized the Knicks defense because he thought it was only decent since they limited possessions. I mean, if that's not somebody who has no idea what defensive rating is, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's just tiring, man. Like, I know I'm biting the bait, but the conversation on Brunson's always so negative. First, he was overpaid. Now he's not a 1A. He's too small. Now we got to say he didn't produce in the second round. And they were still riding with like the Trae Young or the Donovan Mitchell hype last night. I think Parker brought up Donovan Mitchell, how she has him over Brunson in her All-Star ballot because the Cavs have a better record. The Cavs are 0.5 games above the Knicks in fourth place. Like, what? Have you seen the last two playoffs from Brunson? Like, the dude's a better player than a lot of people give him credit for. And I will say it felt amazing, like seeing them all look uncomfortable when they were forced to talk about the Knicks win for the 20 seconds that they talked about it. Seeing how they looked, like their faces looked so uncomfortable. Oh, that felt good too. You know? But yeah, it's just very lazy of them. Like, at least fake it. Do a little bit of homework. And respect to Jamal Crawford. Once a Knick, always a Knick. The dude's given his respect. He's one of the only guys in national media, him and Kendrick Perkins with ESPN, who actually give the Knicks their proper respect. And so this morning I woke up and I was waiting for the Becky Hammond-esque apology tweet. Not that I give a shit, but you know, I was wondering if it was going to come from Parker. 3 p.m. today, just about, we get a 3-page soliloquy. I love Knicks fans. Like, we are so loud, popular. We will bully you into this shit. If you're not, you need to be held accountable to stupid shit sometimes. But the funny part about this 3-page essay was, like, she didn't even bring up what Knicks fans were going at her for. She just starts spouting off about the 1A shit. She doesn't even bring up the playoff stuff that she said that she was wrong on. And I'm, you know, when you go on Twitter, sometimes you can go down the rabbit hole. And now, like, there are these angry feminists out there on Twitter in full force defending Candace's comments. like it has anything to do with gender. And, like, saying how the Knicks fans don't go after anybody else when they make the... And it's like, no, yeah, they just went after Gilbert Arenas. You know? They were going after... Was it Kenny who said the Banchero comment last time? Like, no, they go after everybody. Trust us. They go after everybody. You say something stupid, you're going to get held accountable by Knicks fans. And just to, like, fact check, Brunson had an amazing second round of the postseason last year. Probably an even better second round than he did against Cleveland in the first round. 25-5-7 on 48% game 1. 35-2 on 53% game 2. 28-6 on 35% game 3. 32-4-11 on 48% game 4. 38-9-7 on 55% game 5, and 41-4-3 on 64% game 6. So after that one bad game in the middle there, he got better and better as the round progressed. And overall, he averaged 31.6 boards, 6 assists on 57%. I don't know. I don't know why the conversation is so focused on Brunson. I feel like if you're going to have a conversation about can the Knicks win a title, it shouldn't be about Brunson as the 1A. It should be about, is Julius Randle a 1B? No. That should be the conversation, if anything. I don't know why we're so focused on Jalen Brunson, who's blossomed from a 6-man to a superstar. Why all of a sudden are we talking down on him because of that? The conversation should be about Randle, if anything. Let's talk about the actual game, shall we? Because the Knicks did win. 108-103 at MSG Brooklyn last night. And got off to a tough start. Dog shit defense. Really, Randle and Brunson were the only ones producing early. Nets were up by 2 after 1. Second quarter, it was the same second quarter you usually get where the bench was bad early. Brunson checks in. He gets the Knicks going again. And they're up by 1 point at halftime. Third quarter, it was the Mikal Bridges quarter. He finished with 36. He went off in the third. I think he had 19. But he's going off. The Knicks are down double figures late with like 30-something seconds left in the third. They're down double figures. Fourth quarter comes, and then you get just massive two-way play from the bench unit. There were some tough moments in there, some bad turnovers, some offensive rebounds allowed, some missed foul shots and shots from the field. But obviously, you get to the very end, the Knicks have the play of the year, as Brunson called it, where Brunson gets blocked by Claxton. The Nets are out on the break, but Josh Hart's doing a great job staying with his man on the break, forcing the miss. Then you get OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa with some huge deflections and blocks. Precious tips it out. OG gets his hands on that Cam Johnson layup last second, which was huge. Cam Johnson had a pretty damn good look, and then last second, OG just gets his hands in there and blocks it. Loose ball is about to go out of bounds. Josh Hart saves it. Actually did. Technically, it did go out of bounds, but they didn't see it. But Josh Hart saves it, throws it to Randle, who throws to Brunson, who bounces it right back to Randle, and he throws down the dunk, and the Knicks are up. This was with a minute and change. A little bit later, we get the Josh Hart basket, thanks to, I don't know why the Nets were throwing 2 on Brunson, but they threw 2 on Brunson, and because the Knicks moved the ball around the perimeter well, they were in just total disarray in rotation, the Nets, and that allowed Josh Hart to turn the corner, get downhill, and finish at the basket through contact. They didn't call it, though. That helped put the Knicks up a few. And then on the last one of the last couple possessions, you get, the OG Anunoby gamble, which I don't know why he's gambling, because he's a guy who can lock you down. Doesn't need to gamble, but he gambles and gets lucky as Cam Johnson misses the 3-pointer this time. I had just terrible flashbacks to when he was with the Suns and he hit that buzzer 3 at the end of the game there last time. This was like 3 years ago or something. But yeah, that was it. Clutch free throws knocked down the stretch, and the Knicks win 108-103 over the Nets at home at MSG Brooklyn last night. And it just feels good. So we're going to talk about this thing. First, we're going to head to our first break. Get back in about 20 seconds. Stay with us. Be right back here on episode 616 of BD4. Be right there.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show.
So, I want to get the negatives out of the way first. Not negatives, but questions regarding Tom Thibodeau's rotation minutes and defensive schemes last night. Now, the defense, like Brooklyn only scored 103 points. Okay, they didn't score much at all, but they were missing some wide open looks. I thought the Knicks were not rotating or closing out off screens very effectively at all. They had guys like Precious Achua dropping a little too far in pick and roll at times. Randle's effort was garbage. Sagan dropping too far himself. I didn't love some of the strategy and scheming that I saw. I thought putting Randle in a drop, that's always been a disastrous formula. Always. It just leads to a ton of wide open jumpers. You know, Randle's just not aggressive enough coming up to close. He's also not aggressive enough or physical enough on penetration. He does a lazy job on screens, so I don't get the idea of putting him, a lazy defender who's a liability, in drop coverage. You know, he's sagging off ball at the elbow in his assignments above the break on a three, like helping off the corners a couple times. He was hurt there. Mikal Bridges hurt him in the third quarter because he was in drop coverage. It just didn't make sense to put that guy in a drop. And then there's like the third quarter where I don't understand the logic to switch OG Anunoby off screens there every time. I know OG can switch his, we've been praising perimeter switchability about him, but like he's the one guy you want on Mikal Bridges there. But for some reason the Knicks switched him off and it just took away his effectiveness. That's how Randle got burnt at times. Like that's OG Anunoby should have stayed onto his assignment there. He should have been the one on Mikal, and I guarantee they would have got some stops. But they switched off way too much. I didn't like how, now at the end of the game, Thibs adjusted and he was on DSJ, but I feel like there were a lot of possessions where I felt Brunson was on Cam Johnson. That's a big mismatch. He's a bigger wing player. Brunson's a smaller guard. But I just thought overall the Knicks could have made quicker adjustments on the three-point line. And then rotation-wise, it's more the same thing every night that I'm complaining about, so I don't want to... Okay, he sat OG Anunoby. You tried to give him some rest, but he scored 6 straight points, and he comes out of the game for Randle, who was having a bad game at the time. He continues to go away from those Grimes, from those Grimes, Dante DiVincenzo lineups because he leans into the Josh Hart minutes. He likes playing Hart at the 2. I do wish we saw Grimes and Dante more together, but it's very difficult to Thibs' defense. It's very difficult to stagger Dante DiVincenzo from the starting lineup, which works so well together, and then still find good minutes with the bench unit. But it's mainly size, right? That's why Thibs keeps doing this. It's size, Do you sacrifice a little size for more offense? Like I would have loved more Dante DiVincenzo late. Because Hart had a rough game. He had 0 points until that final basket. His ball handling was brutal. He only had, I think, 1 rebound until the third quarter. But it was size. The Nets have a very long team. They've got wings. They've got bigs with wingspan. And we are in the modern NBA where just about every team is matchup hunting down the stretch. They're looking for that switch. So Thibs went with size to be able to defend the point of attack, to be able to defend in isolation, off pick and roll. And this is hopefully something that can get resolved in the next deal, where Josh Hart doesn't have to be the guy to play 2-guard. But again, I'm bitching, and Hart was a key contributor down the stretch. Randle was a key contributor down the stretch. OG did come back in down the stretch and was a key contributor. So credit to Tom Thibodeau, because while the offense has dipped big time since the trade, the defense has just, I don't want to say it's elite again because we're playing shit competition mostly, and you want to see what happens going forward. But it's back to being good again. It's I think it's 6th in the NBA now. Maybe it's 7th. We were 20th before the trade. That's crazy. It's just 12 games and they've already jumped that far. So Tom Thibodeau's got this defense playing defense again. And this is with Brunson and Randle still on the floor for 35 to 40 minutes without a starting center. Last night they were without their secondary center. That's impressive. Everybody wants to kill Thibs all the time. I will kill Tom Thibodeau, and I mean I will kill him with my words. Like I will go hard at him the day they start losing. That's when I'll do it. It's crazy, man. Like I've never seen a Knicks loss. And this is because I'm on Twitter way too much now. I've never seen a Knicks loss where it was never his fault. And I've never seen a Knicks win where it was because of him. Really, like think of that and try to use the little reason that you have left inside of you if you're like a Thibs hater. Ask yourself, is that realistic? If my team goes 50-28, whatever, are all 50 of those wins going to come in spite of the head coach? And are all 28 of those losses going to be because of the head coach? Like, that's not just not realistic. What are the odds of that? That's how Twitter makes you feel. So I think, he had some questionable moves last night, but at the end it paid off. And the bench came through big for him, man. They were brutal for a big portion of the game. But come fourth quarter, crunch time, my gosh, did they clutch up with, again, I say huge two-way play from all those guys. Just the intangibles, the energy, the commitment, the quickness in transition to be able to get back quick enough and defend, get set. But you had OG out there with the bench in the fourth quarter, and it was excellent. You had Deuce McBride and Quentin Grimes in the same lineup early on. They were out there defending on the wings. Wow. Was that fun? The ability that they have together to get over screens as effectively as they do and can, to be able to stunt and recover so easily, to stay in front of their man, to defend the point of attack. That's such a fun thing to watch. They're just getting countless stops on the perimeter, and they're helping lead the Knicks out in transition, which is massive for that bench unit because that bench unit, again, they don't have a creator to where they can run effective half-court offense. So the best way they can get their baskets is from defense. Get out in transition. I thought they were playing great help defense, the bench unit. There are a few possessions in the fourth quarter where the Nets were positioning Dennis Smith Jr., who can't shoot great, just one pass from the action. And the Knicks were able to help on the ball more and pick the pass lanes because of that, especially Brunson. Deuce McBride, I thought, gave you great offense, too, in the half court early in the fourth quarter. He had the pull-up jumper over Cam Thomas with the Knicks down 9 points early on. About a minute later, the Knicks are down 7 points, and he knocks down the catch-and-shoot wing three. How about OG Anunoby? I mean, we talk all the time about his two-way wing value, right? There was a possession where Quentin Grimes lost his man on a pin down in the corner, but OG gets right through that pin-in screen because of his size, and he just contests the shot like it's no problem, forces the miss. Early on in the fourth quarter, OG was used as the weak side low man. He rotates over to deflect a Dennis Smith Jr. lob to Claxton. That helps the Knicks get out in the break. And then from there, he goes on to score 6 points in a row. He goes right hand off the glass to bring the Knicks within 5 points at the 8-minute mark. He knocks down a very tough fadeaway jumper over Cam Thomas the next time down in the mid-range. And then he attacks Dennis Smith Jr. to draw 2 free throws, which he converted the next time down. And obviously, he was part of that big play at the end, the play of the season, making big contributions there defensively, blocking the shot, tipping the ball out. So I thought he was effective off the bench. I thought Jericho Sims looked very good. Their third string big did a very nice job starting at center last night. I thought his defense was there. I thought the offensive rebounding was nice. I thought he used his body a little more under the glass. I still feel like he should work on doing a better job boxing out. That's always been, box outs are not his strength. But he did a nice job. He did a nice job off pick and roll with screening, providing a little spacing for the guard. I thought Precious Achiuwa gave you some good minutes too. While we're on the topic of big men, Precious Achiuwa is actually getting the game ball from off the bench last night.
Bing bang.
6 points for Precious, 9 boards, 2 assists, shot 50%, was a plus 13 in 21 minutes. He had some tough moments early on. He's, from what we've seen so far, got some, his touch at the basket is a little rough. Also, I was livid when he attempted that 3. Was it in the fourth quarter or late in the third? He was open for a reason. I was hoping he was going to put it on the floor there and attack the closeout like he showed he's capable of doing the other night. But he takes the 3, and I'm just livid. But I'm giving him the game ball from off the bench because he provided some big baskets in the fourth quarter and played defense. There was that possession where OG Anunoby missed a couple of bunnies, but he tips it in. The Knicks were down 9 at that point. I thought that was a big shot to stop the bleeding. The Knicks were down 3 with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left. You got Precious running in transition with Randle as the trailer. Precious was the trailer. And Randle hits Precious, who finishes with the dunk that puts the Knicks within a point. He had another big offensive rebound I think the possession prior to that. He had 4 rebounds in the fourth quarter. And, of course, he was also a part of that big play down the stretch, keeping the ball in the Knicks' favor. Did a great job on defense overall, right? He and Jericho did a fine job filling in for iHeart. Still a little concerned about how that's going to go, but I thought he and OG Anunoby did a nice job and switch everything late in the fourth quarter together, showing a good defensive synergy there on pick and roll. I thought he did a very elite job in help. There were a number of times where he played commendable defense in help. There are a few times where he's hedging on screens to take away opportunities, or there was a possession where he's staying with a penetrator until the very last second where he peels off, rotates to defend the basket, right? That was a possession where Cam Thomas drove and kicked it to Claxton, and then Precious rotates to Claxton. Just all over the place. So he was great. And that's his 3rd game ball as a Knick. Precious Achiuwa in 12 games as a Knick. 3 game balls in his 12 games, averaging 14 minutes. While we're on the topic of handing out game balls, the game ball among the starting unit is going to go to Julius Randle.
Bing bang.
Listen, Julius was good. So 30 points, 9 boards, 7 assists. The first 3 quarters, he wasn't having a great game. But my rule is, if you come through when it matters, you're good with me. And that Randle did. He clutched up in the fourth. Big time. With 4 minutes and change left, Brunson misses the 3. Randle leads the fast break. He draws the defense on him. That's when he finds Precious for that dunk. The Knicks within 1. The next time down, less than 4 minutes left, you get Randle tipping in his own miss off the initial Brunson dump off. Puts the Knicks up 1. And then, of course, the big one. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. The Knicks are down. Finney-Smith knocks down the 3 to put them down. Brunson's missing some more, a few times. But then Randle comes down. He knocks down this gigantic step-back wing 3 with Brooklyn ahead. The shot drops, and this puts the Knicks up 1 point. Obviously, he was a big part of the play of the season. He's the one who dunked it. And then he ices the game a little later with a couple of free throws. So I thought Julius Randle salvaged what would have been a nightmarish night. There were some very bad parts of the night. As I said, the defense, the turnovers, effort, but overall good night. And now he has 11 game balls to be second on the Knicks behind Brunson. So Randle's been good. He's going to have to do a lot of work without iHeart on the glass. And I'm a little worried about Isaiah Hartenstein. You know, I never like hearing the word Achilles. Ever. You know, it's could it be from overusage? Sure. Also not going to fully blame Thibs because who does he have to go to? He's got a third string big and another third string big to go to when iHeart's off the floor. And both of them haven't exactly been great. But yeah, I'm a little concerned because this is the same injury that iHeart dealt with earlier last year. And that's what made him so ineffective in the first half. And now we're going into these next two games against very good teams with very good front courts. You got Jokic in Denver. You got Bam Adebayo in Miami. Those teams are both next. And I have a feeling that iHeart's either going to sit both of them or come back not at 100%, and it'll be brutal to watch. I don't want the Knicks to lose and then start trending downwards again and have an even worse record against top competition, you know? But it looks like he's probably going to sit the next couple games at least, and we'll see how Precious and Jericho do. Maybe they hold it down. We'll see what the Knicks do regarding backup five, getting a trade or signing somebody off the buyout market or some shit. They got to figure out what they're doing at big. Obviously, they're still searching for the most important part of this team right now is finding that combo guard, if you want to call it, off the bench. I'm still all in on Malcolm Brogdon. I think that's the best option at this point. I think Malcolm Brogdon helps you short term, right? He brings that scoring punch. I mean, you want to talk about replacing Emmanuel quickly. Well, who better to do it with than the guy who took the Sixth Man of the Year award from Quickly last year? He could score. He can play on and off ball, which means he can play with Brunson at times. Mostly going to be with the second unit. He can hold his own defensively. So short-term help, I think you get a guy like Brogdon. I can definitely see the Knicks making a run at the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that's a possibility, which would be exciting. I really do. I think you add him in there, and that's, as long as he's healthy, a big possibility. And obviously, he helps you long-term, right? If you trade for a Brogdon, this is salary filler, right? He's making $23 million this year, and he's making $23 million next year. So I would expect the Knicks, if they trade for his salary, to make a run at Donovan Mitchell in the summer and probably flip him in that deal. That's probably what that's probably their thought process. Fortunately, the Bruce Brown rumors are dying down. That's a good thing. Knock on wood, please. Thank God they're dying down, but please knock on wood. The unfortunate thing is now you're starting to hear Kyle Lowry's name ever since the Rozier trade. Oh, God. These dinosaurs. I swear to God. The Knicks have this, mentioned it last show, this obsession with certain types of guys. Lowry's Villanova. So you can obviously, that's something that could easily happen. Burks is a Thibs guy, right? He was here 3 years ago. He was their point guard. So you can definitely see that happening. I'm just I'm sitting here no more dinosaurs. No more washed up vets who don't provide much. We've been doing so well avoiding those guys. Stay young. Please don't go for those guys. The Gordon Hayward thing is yuck too. I don't like hearing some of the names I'm hearing. I feel like Malcolm Brogdon is the obvious choice at this point. And you got what it takes. You have Fournier's salary. You have Grimes, and you've got picks. So we're going to head to break, get back, and then when we return, we'll talk about what's next for this Knicks team. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Welcome back to episode 616 of the podcast. Thanks for stopping by and listening to BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game. MMA on occasion. We just released an MMA episode. Episode 615. You can go check that out. We talked about UFC 297. Strickland's tough loss against DDP. If you were an MMA fan, check that out. Now, up next for this Knicks team. Well, first off, we've been going through this about every episode. How at the beginning of this month, I said, considering the Knicks' schedule, the competition they've got this month, the home-heavy schedule, that at worst they had to go 11-5. They are currently 10-2 this month. That's also since the OG trade. So that means unless they go 0-4 the remainder of January, they will have accomplished this goal. All they need to do is go 1-3. I would like 2-2 at worst, but that's going to be tough. I think it's very fair to think that Denver and Miami could beat the Knicks these next two games, especially if iHeart is not playing. Denver Thursday, tomorrow, and Miami on Saturday. 3 p.m. It's ABC. Miami just made the move for Terry Rozier. They improved offensively. Defensively, I don't know. Denver, obviously Joker's coming off a triple-double against the Pacers, and that's significant because that now makes the Knicks the only team left that he's never triple-doubled against. So perfect timing there, especially if iHeart's not going to play. But hey, I will part with this. It's okay to enjoy the ride. This team has been so shit for so long. They have a 27-17 record, which there was a stat today, first time they're 10 games above before the All-Star break since 2012-13. I think that was the number. They're 10-2 since the deal. 4 in a row overall. They're the number 5 seed, a half game out from the 4 seed. Currently a top 10 team in basketball. The 9th best record. They have a better win percentage than the Phoenix Suns and their big three, than the two-headed monster in Dallas, than the super team Clippers, and a better win percentage than everybody's favorite Eastern Conference teams, Orlando and Indiana. Not bad. Things are not bad. Are there concerns? Sure. One that I'm seeing a lot right now on the internet is the Knicks are 19-0 versus below 500 teams and 8-17 against at or above 500 teams, I think it is. And, they're playing bad competition on this current stretch. Personally, I don't care. I'm conflicted when it comes to this because I don't care too much because I feel like there's no correlation between regular season record and the playoffs. They were 3-1 against Miami last regular season. You look at other teams this year, Miami doesn't have a good record above 500 teams, and a lot of other teams don't have great records. I feel like last year the Knicks proved themselves that they can match up against anyone in a 7-game series. They've showed that they have enough resiliency and fight heart. They're a classic Tom Thibodeau team that they can make an ECF run. An ECF run. They've also, since the OG trade, looked like a completely different team. The defense, the spacing offensively, and there's probably another decent-sized trade coming for them to make. They're also playing without one of their most important players on this roster this entire time. Last night they played with their third and fourth string bigs. But most importantly, when it comes to that whole beating 500 teams or better, the way I'm looking at it, maybe this is flawed. The Knicks are currently 27-17. Right, they're 27-17, being 19-0 versus bad teams and 18-17 versus good teams. So if you're upset with that, you're either saying one of two things. You're saying that you're unsatisfied with their record of 600 ball, or you would like for them to lose versus more subpar teams, technically, right? Because if the Knicks weren't 8-17 against tough competition, let's say they were 4 games better than that, that would mean they'd be 31-13. Which, folks, that would make them the second best team in the entire NBA behind Boston. And that's just a ridiculous expectation for a team that has only one top 20, top 15 player. So, they have had some big wins, too, against top teams. Minnesota, Philly, by 40 in their own home. The Bucks on Christmas Day. Like, they've had some. At the end of the day, for me, it's like just win basketball games. And they're doing that. I feel like you can find stats to nitpick with the vast majority of teams. You know? I don't really correlate those two things. I think it doesn't mean you're not going to have success in the playoffs. I just think the way the Knicks play means they can win a 7-game series. I don't think the Knicks going 4-0 against the Nuggets this year and the Knicks going 0-4 against the Nuggets this year, I'm not sure that's going to sway my opinion. Like, if they go 4-0 against the Nuggets this year, I don't think they're playing them 4 times, but I don't think, like, I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see them in the finals. Like, no, like, I don't, like, stupid shit. But all I'm saying is right now, it's okay to take a second and enjoy this. I understand the super hungry mentality. I have that too. Like, I understand it. I understand the Knicks PTSD. But at the same time, it's always fire Thibs, trade this guy. Oh, we only won by this amount. It seems like one loss generates a greater reaction than 3 consecutive wins does. You know? I just think we need to slow down and realize, like, just stay the course. The Knicks are winning games, and they have a chance to do a lot more than just that in the future because they own every one of their first-round picks in the next 7 years. They've got the top 10 protected from Dallas, which I think is in 2024 or 2025. They've got the protected firsts from Milwaukee, Detroit, and Washington. They've got 11 second-round picks available to use, as well as draft rights to a few guys overseas. And I saw this graphic on Instagram. The Knicks are, of the 7 teams this year with 0 players earning a $30 million salary, the Knicks have the best record of them. Utah, Orlando, Toronto, San Antonio, Washington, Detroit. The Knicks have the best record of them. So it's not as bad as some of us want to make it to be. Questions, concerns, absolutely. But I think once the Knicks make this next deal, and they will, I think we could be looking at a much better team than we already have. So we'll see where we go from here. With that said, let's wrap this thing up with our trivia, and then that will be that. Let's get to it right now. So for episode 616 here, our trivia question of the day, true or false, Red Holzman won the Knicks a championship in just his second full season as head coach of the team. Typo there at the end with the question mark. True or false, Red Holzman won the Knicks a championship in just his second full season as head coach of the team. Is that true or false? Folks, that's it. Episode 616 is in the books. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm your host, RJ. and I'll see you in the next show. For this one, that's it. I'll see you in 6:17. We might be late on Denver Nuggets Knicks because I'm going to be very busy tomorrow night. And I'm going to be getting home late, so I'm probably going to miss the game. There's a chance we don't have a podcast for the Nuggets game. There's a chance we do. If we do, there's a good chance it's going to be audio only. So, we'll see. But I'll definitely be back by the Miami game. You damn well know I will. With that said, appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next show. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.